The biggest issue with most people working 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day is that the vast majority of those hours won't actually be productive. So I used to work 15, 16 hours every single day, 7 days a week. But now I'm probably doing 8, 9, 10 hours a day. But I'm way more productive now than I ever was back then working 14, 15 hours a day because I'm making every single one of those hours count. And I even think with the normal kind of work day, most people are working 8 hours a day. But I think if you're super, super productive in just 4 hours, you can get way more done in those 4 hours than someone else working 8 hours if you're very efficient with your time. For me, one of the best things you can do in your life, in terms of productivity at least, is implementing a 4-hour deep work session during your biological prime time. And this is step one, is really understanding when your biological prime time is. So your biological prime time is basically the time in the day that you have the most energy. So naturally, your energy throughout the day, it will increase, then decrease, then increase, then decrease. And analyzing when those peaks are, when you have the most energy, and understanding when those slumps are, when you have the least amount of energy, is so important. So for me, as soon as I wake up at about 6 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m., are my biological prime time. So my energy is at its peak. And then around noon, it will decrease until about 4, 5 p.m. and then it will increase again. So it's important that I match my deep tasks, the tasks that are going to move the needle more than anything else, with the times of the day when I have the most energy. So for me, as soon as I wake up, I go downstairs, I go to a coffee shop, I get 4 hours of deep work done, and no distractions, no email, no social media, just 4 hours of deep focus done. And by noon, I've already got more done in the day than probably a lot of people get done in the entire day. And if you're a student, do check out the Transforming Your Grades course, where I talk about these kind of strategies in way more detail, where you can essentially achieve higher grades by studying less, by implementing a lot of these strategies. I'll add a link in the description below. Step 2 is finding a location that you actually want to be in, that you find productive. So I have my standing desk here where I only work there probably like 1-2 hours a day of relatively shallow tasks. So I take meetings, I film sometimes there, I do podcasts there. However, my apartment is not an environment that I feel like I can get into a deep state of flow very quickly. And that's why in the morning when I'm doing my 4 hours of deep focus, I go down to a coffee shop, I put my AirPods in, I turn off notifications, I don't check my emails, I don't check my social media, and I just get the work done. Because for me, in a coffee shop, I'm by far my most productive. So productivity is not about getting as much done as possible. Productivity is about getting the most important tasks done on a consistent basis. And this is where the MIT strategy comes in, the most important task strategy. So when you're doing your 4 hours of deep focus, when you have the most energy throughout the day, that right there is when you do the tasks that are going to move the needle more than anything else. Because I feel far too often we're always busy, but we're busy doing tasks that are not that important. And it's the Pareto principle, right? 20% of the tasks are going to get you 80% of the results. So it's really important that you focus in your deep work sessions on those 20% of tasks that are going to move the needle more than anything else. It's such a simple strategy, is like focusing on tasks that will actually move the needle, but it's so effective. Step 4 is about mapping goals, meaning that it's so important that you work with urgency. This is one of the main reasons why people, including myself sometimes, are not as productive as we should be, because we're not working with urgency, especially if you're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. It's very unlikely for that entire session you're working with urgency. So when you're working that 4-hour deep work session, it's really important that you have some very clear, quantifiable goals that you will have achieved by the end of those 4 hours. And it might be a case of, okay, I need this task completing, or I need these tasks completing by those 4 hours. And you're working with that goal, with that focus in mind. So if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you'll probably have a manager looking over your shoulder, making sure that you're getting your work done and you're working fast. But if you're a student, if you're a business owner, if you're just working by yourself, let's say you're working remotely, you won't necessarily have that manager looking over your shoulder to make sure that you're working with urgency. Therefore, it's important that you are your own manager and making sure that you're working at a fast pace, especially if you're only doing 4 hours of working. So manufacturing that urgency when you're working through your 4 hours is very important to make sure that you're not falling into this trap of what is called pseudo working, where you're kind of working a little bit, then procrastinating, then working, then procrastinating. You could probably get away with that if you're working 12 hours a day, but not if you're only working 4 hours a day. Step 5 is all about automation. It's about doing the same thing every day so that it becomes a habit. Similar to like brushing your teeth in the morning. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You don't ask yourself, okay, should I brush my teeth? Should I not? You just do it automatically. And the idea here is that you go into your 4-hour deep work session an automated behavior. For example, I wake up, I go and shower, I sort out the cats and dog, and then I go downstairs, I go to a coffee shop and I do my 4 hours work session. I do that every single day, 7 days a week, and it's become an automated habit. It becomes so easy now. And productivity shouldn't be this uphill battle all of the time. It really should be this kind of streamlined process, and automation is a big part of making productivity more streamlined. Over the last few years, working that 4 hours deep work session first thing in the morning has been so important for me, because even if I stop work at 12 o'clock, I still know that I've had a productive day because I've got so much done in the early hours of the morning. And if you want to find out more about how I'm super productive in those 4 hours, I made a video here called How I Work for 4 Hours with 100% Focus. You can click on the card on the screen to watch that. And do check out this video sponsor, Motion. I'll add a link in the description below.